Today, video games have become mostly accepted forms of entertainment. You see kids with Switches, phone, and something you swear you play when you're like 10. And then you have the kids that were left with 3DS. That was me in 2017. In the 2000s, you had sports games and shoot 'em ups. Everything else was niche. Popular franchise that has a resurgence in popularity recently, such as SMT and Crash Bandicoot, has an awkward phase in the 2000s that no one but fans talk about. Whether it has to do with the quality of the game or the fact that you're the only one in the lunchroom that's aware of it, I don't know. But it was the 2000s that attitude towards gaming changed for the decent. I'm fully aware that there's many a yucky controversy that happened, especially in the early 10s. But this will be in a perspective of a kid, specifically me. "2013 saw the beginning of the cool kids, not Wii U, that has motion controls to a certain extent, a 2010 invention that is meant to capitalize the Wii U's success. It comes with cool 3D graphics and even cooler teen and M-rated games. Insert regional variants here." For a long time, they were considered the it things that true gamers have, or at least the lucky ones. It was my older brother that has it, and I only used it once, but that time was glorious. In contrast, the Wii U was one of the worst performing consoles in modern Nintendo history, likely due to the fact that it appeals to kids and has a gimmicky design. Aiming to kids and strictly the family is the worst mistake Nintendo have made. Gaming has variety in ages and demographics. By targeting a demographics that has limits, or at least supposed to have limits, like only having access to E or E10 plus games if the parents are extremely strict, it severely limits the Wii U's potential. Not to mention that many families at that point have a Wii U, and with the poorly implemented gimmick of the Wii U, distinguishing from Wii and Wii U became difficult. But one console that was aimed towards kids, well, mostly towards kids, that was successful and made by Nintendo was the 3DS. Despite being advertised to children, it doesn't feel that way. It is likely that most of the games being featured are kid-oriented, but the console itself was not. It has an assortment of teen and M-rated games. It was my first gaming console if you don't count the DS that I played for a hot minute. Lime Green, Amazon exclusive 3DS. First game was Mario Kart 7 and Miitopia. Even at 10 I was into that obscure shit. SMT and other mature rated series have a go on the 3DS. Even Medabots has a saucy entry. Medabots is for kids, right? Another device that helped the growth of the casual markets were phones. Although gaming on mobile existed before, and wireless internet was achieved in 1990 with NTT Docomo's iMode. Meant to end this short ding. It was the late 2000s, early 10s that the push towards touchscreen changed the gaming landscape. Fruit Ninja, Subway Surfers, among other classical mobile games, utilized the new interface to its advantage. Nintendo did a power move and released the Switch in 2017. It was an absurd mix of home and handheld console, with a switch to traditional game cartridges. It was mostly targeted to an older audience, unlike the Wii U, but the mostly bland advertisement was not enough to quell the beast that is the mobile market. With phones even surpassing console levels of power, The average consumer has a much easier time getting access to video games, which leads to
our GMA cover story now, a parenting alert about your child's brain on Fortnite. The game's creator says more than 250 million people are now playing it, so we're taking a closer look at how it could affect a kid's mind.
With easier access to games, many have become interested in genres that were not popular before, and even look at indie titles for once. One game that represents the boom was Persona 5. It is talked to death and become everything that people hate about gaming journalism and how people only see the surface value of anything. But according to Google Trends, search for Persona went up April of 2017, before many of the games in the series were under the radar. No, seriously, in this book that was released in 2016, it features Persona 4 Arena. It is likely the only mention of the game in print media in general that's not gaming magazines or advertisements outside of Asia. Prove me wrong. With Persona 4, it introduced many people to JRPGs, which is notorious for appealing to a specific group of people. Not to mention it legitimized video games as an art form, even with its more gaming mechanics and prioritize story a bit less compared to other more artsy games. But with popularity, there's bound to be controversy. Even though there's controversy way before, it was the 2010s that has the most scrutiny by both parents and watchdog organizations. You have many of the parents campaigning on the topics and violence in video games, despite the fact that there's an age rating system. Many consumer advocacy groups complain that certain gaming features were very bad for consumers, and groups like Feminists, who believe both the culture of gaming and the games themselves are terrible and degrading towards women. I will not be discussing any of that because it could be very messy, very quick, and the whole charades of parents fear-mongering amongst themselves and other groups could have a separate video. One controversy I will be talking about is in-app purchases or microtransactions. They usually take form of loot boxes, gacha pulls, and in-game currency. Even though they are to a minimum and existed long before, it was around the mid 2010s where many of those mechanics become scrutinized. Many believe them to be a form of gambling, a predatory way for developers to force players to buy things so that they could get better things to progress in competitive games. They were minimized in the late 10s and were switched out in favor of in-game currency. They still breed a subspecies of scams that try to guilt children into giving out their personal data in return of free currency or similar things. Gacha games, cash grabs of popular franchise, and criminally simple gameplay that's just the bare minimum stigmatize the mobile game. I have my fair share of gacha games playing, and many of them are, like low tier and don't really have a reason for you to play. I know there's definitely a handful of them out. I haven't tried them yet. But one game I really like that kind of breaks the whole gacha game equal bad stigma is Azur Lane. It's a waifu collectathon that includes historical ships. And you can probably tell what kind of person I am. But if you look past all of that, it's very generous. But even good games easy enough to break the stigma of other games just with the sheer volume of low tier garbage games out there. Even though I practically barely defended mobile games, for me, they were the earliest, quote, B kids games that I ever played. Here is my phone, as you can see. This is Isolate, but for today, I ain't going to show you. So I also have Love Nikki, which is my first game, and then Dragon City and Cookies. A bunch. Ah yes, and this one is for a later video. But yeah, I have downloaded several mobile games. These are the games that I have and continue to have due to storage. These things. Yeah. From Scholastic. The other one doesn't show, but from Scholastic. Today we'll be looking at this one. What a year. Table of content. More table of content. Online gaming. Of course. This is mobile games. Good mobile games. There's some cheapo aspect to them. Of course, the classic cut the rope magic and Legend of Zelda, and then there is. It's not here, not here, not here. So you know this is aiming for that 2000s casual market with the Simpsons game. Everybody in their minds probably play it. But yeah, you don't really expect Persona to be mentioned. Although Persona Arena, for what I know, is rated T, so kind of makes sense compared to other entries. And then you have something very special. But before that, tada! Seaman! Do you expect a game from 2016 to mention Seaman? Not really. Or Parappa for that matter. Now let's look back. I want to. Oh yeah, the Pigeon Dating Simulator. Yeah, that was a trend back in the day. They have the Animals. Back when. Are they popular? I guess the Animal Crossing cards are popular, but that's due to the release of the Hello Kitty ones, which existed before. Even though Superchargers released in 2015, 2016, so yeah, and then I think that's a screenshot of, yes, Imaginators. I remember they pump out Skylanders for like almost every year. In hindsight, that's probably one of the worst decisions they ever made. and then I got one the last for the previous year. And this thing have will be very will be very long. So yeah, I have Kingdom Hearts, right, and an injury. I think this was when Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced. Yeah, and I rarely use this as much compared to the other ones. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that I feel like this is more mainstream compared to the other one. So it's not really my favorite injury. I'll show you. Let's see. Where's the YouTuber section? Ah yes. Stampy Longhead. And it has a Captain Sparkle interview, which I won't mention, but there we go. Yokai Watch. Yeah, it has tips and tricks like item fusion, yokai fusion, and all that. The tips and tricks, it's very interesting. It's like a gaming guide. And also the stats is very interesting how much the series have grown. Because at this point, the two games, Fleshy Souls and Bony Spirits, released in the West, which is terrible timing with Pokemon Sun and Moon. But yeah, in Japan there's like a spin-off, like from what I recall there's a Wii U spin-off. No, not Wii U spin-off. A Just Dance spin-off of Yokai Watch, which is nice. And then you have the manga, which I think they still translate to this day. And it's currently the only thing in the West that is active that revolves around Yokai Watch. It deserves its own rabbit hole. And it has sections like, okay, I'm not too sure about the Xenoblade Chronicles, but it recommends Sun and Moon, Obvious Reasons, Monster Collecting, and Professor Tennis. I have looked over a bunch of topics such as the PS Vita and more of the controversies, out there which deserve a separate video. But this is a overview of gaming, and I'm glad you see gaming towards a sad poor girl that has strict family. That family is sad, a poor sad girl that has family that are strict when it comes to gaming. And that probably backfires a lot. So once again, I like to say thank you. Please subscribe, thumbs up if you like it, comment on anything that's not disrespectful, and I'll see you next time.